The Transformers is one of the biggest franchises on Earth and definitely in the top 5 most popular 80s series, with influence seen across pop culture and remains popular with new adaptations every few years. Taking a bunch of random robot toys from Japan, mostly from the line Diaclone, partnering with Marvel and Sunbow Animation to make something out of these robot toys. The Transformers Generation 1 premiered the first part to its 3-part pilot More Than Meets the Eye, September 17th, 1984. The show's intro is very iconic with both Decepticon Autobot logos, the wireframe grid, the robots. Weird that Thundercracker is leading this assault and Starscream's behind him. Actually, he's in the far back even behind Skywarp. The intro is a classic 80s summary of the plot. For any new viewers turning into the show for the first time, they're Transformers, they're More Than Meets the Eye, the Autobots are fighting the Decepticons, who are evil! And I guess Megatron and Shockwave jumped ahead of the Seekers. We see Ratchet going up to punch Thundercracker, but then it cuts to Jazz punching Skywarp. And afterwards, everyone jumps behind this mountain, and the sheer energy creates a title card. The title G1 was added retroactively to the series so we can tell it apart from other Transformers franchises, though it's also missing the in the Transformers, but that happens all the time. Then we cut to the blue space as Victor Caroli and his awesome voice narrates that the planet Cybertron has intelligent robotic life on it, divided into 2 factions, the Autobots and Decepticons.
But the brutal Decepticons were driven by a single goal: total domination.
Autobots are the smiley red face and Decepticons are the mean purple face.
They literally call themselves Decepticons. That doesn't set off any red flags?
Enough!
So the Great War between the 2 factions wrecked the planet. We see 2 Autobots, Wheeljack played by Chris Latta, and Bumblebee played by Dan Gilvezan. They found these energy tubes that kind of look like those light bulb tubes in like a school or office. It's weird to think that Wheeljack is the first Transformer we actually see in the franchise, and the first one we see actually transform. If you want to count the intro, then it's Optimus. B hops in the back and they hover back to Iacon. But oh no, a Decepticon roadblock. This happens a lot in 80s cartoons, so you just gotta roll with it, but the first line to a major Decepticon, Starscream, is with the wrong voice.
Autobots, stop them!
Bumblebee hops out and uses his blaster from Naboo, and his line, Prime told him there will be days like this, kind of implies that he's young. An extra purple Seeker has a flamethrower because yes, computers can overheat. He'll eventually get the name Hotlink. This yellow one will inspire Sunstorm, and this blue one I'm pretty sure is a different character, but let's just say it's Thundercracker. B decides to drive separate and they break the blockade. The Seekers turn into these Tetrajet pyramid things. Wheeljack and B's Cybertronian forms will eventually get toys of their own, but people really love these Tetrajet designs, so anytime we see a Cybertronian Seeker, it's always inspired by these. Make chase, Bumblebee's hurt, but they're able to ditch them.
Better report back to Megatron.
This is the first example of the face flip transition we'll see for the rest of the series. They make it to Iacon, but oh no, Soundwave the Decepticon is there. Instead of turning into something cool like a Tetrajet, he turned into a lamppost. I guess he took the robots in disguise thing seriously. He's played by Frank Welker with a noticeable robot filter. He has his own minions, such as Laserbeak, who he sends out on one of his many missions, Assimilation, which by that he means spy. We see a handful of Autobots. Prowl, played by Michael Bell, the Autobot leader Optimus Prime, played by the legendary and late great Peter Cullen, Trailbreaker, played by Frank, and they meet up with Jazz, played by Scatman Croft.
North side of Cybertron's blacker than the inside of a drive shaft.
Unless a new supply of energy is found, nobody is going to win this war.
So with the planet's resources dwindling, they need to scout out a new world for stuff. Soundwave reports to the Decepticon leader, Megatron, played by Frank Welker, and they need to follow the Autobots. So he tells Shockwave, who's just up there hanging out in laser form, played by Corey Burden, that he's the designated survivor who's staying behind. Starscream now has his proper voice of Chris Latta. The Autobots take off in their orange ship, the Ark, as the Decepticons are not far behind in their purple ship, the Nemesis. Oh, and of course, they've been planning this trip this whole time, and as soon as they go, some natural disaster happens, like 2 asteroids creating a huge field between them. This one is Ironhide, played by Peter, who's leaking lubricant, which is like pus to him, right? They blast their way through the asteroid field, but the cons are still behind them. They're so low on energy they can't really stop from the Nemesis docking with the Ark. This leads to a tussle, and literally everyone just immediately goes to jump Soundwave, getting right back up to fight Ratchet. But the magnetic field of this new planet separates the two ships, causing the Ark to crash into what many people say is Colorado or Utah, but apparently I looked this up, they crash into Mount St. Hilary, which is in Oregon. It's a fictional volcano inspired by Mount St. Helen. One commercial break that lasts 4 million years. You can see the landscape and even the volcano change. This is likely due to erosion or maybe a purple dinosaur shot a rocket at it. The crash seriously messed everyone up. But the volcano erupts, which activates the computer on the ship Teletran 1, played by radio DJ Casey Kasem, who's most famous for playing Shaggy. It sends out a little satellite which scans some vehicles to help repair people, starting oddly enough with Skywarp, played by Frank. I wonder if Skywarp was intended to be a bigger con. I mean, he's even definitely more loyal than Starscream because Megatron's up next and soon the rest of the cons are fixed. Megs realizes that this is a new world full of energy. Skywarp's concerned that Cybertron might be gone, but Megs is like, what, you think someone's just gonna fly up and eat it? Starscream tries burying the rest of the bots, which accidentally knocks Optimus over so he gets repaired. Well, the cons can't find a Nemesis, so these rocks will have to do for their new base.
Starscream, convert the area for construction.
What about materials?
Well, luckily there's a power plant nearby, and Soundwave has another minion named Rumble, played by Frank. Operation Destruction. The Autobots are all up, so Optimus sends out Hound, played by Ken Sanson, and Cliffjumper, who's definitely not just a red Bumblebee with a new head, played by Casey, out to scout. Starscream finally reveals that he has ambitions on leadership, but even Rumble thinks that's far-fetched. Also, he has pile drivers. Hound turns into a Jeep, and Cliffjumper turns into an even rounder and cuter version of a Volkswagen Beetle, just different enough so they can show the show and not get sued. Hound's kinda liking this new world, but they stumble upon the cons, and damn, they work quick even without the Constructicons. They overhear their nefarious plans that this E-ARF has tons of energy and they're gonna suck it dry. Cliffjumper pulls a bazooka out of his ass, which you can get with the Earthrise figure. He aims 70% on VATS and still misses. The two get chased by Laserbeak, who's the only one that actually has a different look to him while on Earth versus his Cybertronian form. The two split up, but Laserbeak's able to separate the cell animation of his laser to chase Cliffjumper, but a little carbon dioxide destroys it, just as Hound gets shot down by Laserbeak. But luckily 3 Autobots find him, including Ratchet, played by Don Messick, and there's no hard feelings between Hound and Cliff.
Holler! Pull him up!
My name's Grapple, you asshole! Meanwhile, Thundercracker, played by John Stevenson, is hanging out on a plateau with the Reflector triplets, played by Chris Latta. 2 of them are clones, with one of them having a little thing on their belly because they combine into a camera. Using it as both a telescope and a Polaroid, they get a photo of 2 humans arriving at the power plant, thinking that's an Autobot. So Soundwave sends another minion, Ravage, also played by Frank, to terrorize them. The bots make it to base and find out about the thing the cons are building. So everyone gets outside and has a roll call for who they are and what they turn into. The first time seeing Sunstreaker, and we get a rollout, not a transform and rollout by Optimus. This is because the cons have found an oil rig. The work uniform in this universe seems to be blue jeans, a tan or white shirt, yellow rubber boots, and a yellow matching hard hat. This is where we meet our main human character, Spike Witwicky, played by Corey Burton, and his dad, Sparkplug Witwicky, played by Chris. Bit crazy to get your son to work on an oil rig with you, but I mean, I'm the son of a contractor. I know parents just do that all the time. Megatron kind of superhero lands in. The humans throw junk at him, but it's a little bit more effective when Megatron throws junk at them. Rumble is human size. Backhanding Spike, and all the humans end up in the water. Shockwave makes some Energon cubes with lightsaber sound effects. Luckily, all this Energon can be compressed like pool towels. Starscream's excited about all the Energon, but Megatron has to remind him that's barely enough. The Autobots fly in, despite later it'll be explained that they can't fly, because it's only the first part to a pilot and stuff changes later. Megatron transforms into a Walter P-37 pistol of extended barrel, scope, and armrest. It's pretty iconic, but ironically for America, for having some of the loosest gun laws in the world, it has some of the strictest toy gun laws in the world.
All familiar with the Nintendo Zapper, right? Originally it was gray, but later they changed it to orange. It's pretty clear that video game and toy manufacturers have become more sensitive. They don't want to give kids something that looks like a gun. Remember Megatron? He transformed into a gun, but later they gave that orange tip at the end, and then he didn't even change into a gun at all.
There was a period where they tried doing a Nerf gun, but it's still G1, we can have our Walter P. Either way, the bots and cons fight a bit. Laserbeak pecks at Optimus, and the cons get away blowing up the oil rig, sending everyone into the water, and Optimus struggling to save the humans, ending part 1. It's only the first part to a 3-part series beginner, but I feel like this is a solid start. Some people will argue that it's pretty slow, especially given that we have 2 more parts to get in. But we set up plenty of both bots and cons, establishing characters like Megatron being power-hungry, Soundwave being loyal, and Starscream not being loyal. Hound and Cliffjumper are pals, Optimus is a strong leader who cares about even these new people he doesn't know. There's even set up for Cybertron and Iacon, despite we won't really be there for that long in most of G1. It's only the first part to the pilot, but I think this is a very good start. 6 out of 10. But let me know what you thought down below, as well as hitting the like button, subscribing if you're new, hype it on mobile, very appreciated, and I hope you stay around for the rest of G1.